Great.
Oh yeah.
We are on air.
We're live. Do not swim.
We're live over the internet. So I was just going to do a quick, I've got a few slides, just do a quick intro on Tenerife Tech and Biz because there's a few new faces here as well. So if you bear with me a second, I will do that. Share screen or share application. Okay, can you see a presentation now, Simon?
Yep, you can see it.
Great. Okay. So, welcome to Tenerife Tech and Biz. Does anybody not know who what the group is, or you haven't been before? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know all the other faces. But for people who don't know, we're a networking group, and we aim to be as a meeting point for technology, business community in the Canaries. We're an English-speaking group because we want to be as inclusive as possible to people on the island and passing through the island. We have one regular meetup a month. We were alternating between north and south, but we've been doing a few in the north here, and it's co-working lately. And we're going to try and find a way to kickstart things in the south, and it might be good to do that around some of Oxygen's events as well. You know, because it's one of the things we want to avoid was north-south divide, and so we need to do some more work on that. So everything goes on the meetup page, and we've just got a Google Plus account that allows us to do these hangouts. So what's it all about? It's about bringing people together, people who work in technology, digital industry, startups, all of the above, with similar interests to share, learn, help each other out with business, not just about programming, but business around it. We want the group to be people-driven, and we've had a few people come up with ideas about what we can do at the different events, and we want to hear more. So Tan and I are for organising stuff and helping stuff, make stuff happen, but we need ideas about what we should be doing. Because we run dry. Yeah. Oxygen Accelerator is sponsoring the event. So we had 28 people signed up, and there's, what, 14 here? So we've got 28 people's worth of beer next door as well. So, but thanks to Oxygen for putting the beers on, and thanks to the folks at Blitz for the lovely environment to consume it in. Okay, that's it. So the idea of this was to let Simon, Miguel, and Tanya just answer field questions and answer any questions people have about the events that are being hosted later in the year. I think Simon's going to start by taking us through 10 minutes about what the events actually are. Sorry, I'll get the camera back on. What the events actually are.
Steve, I have a question for you. Is there a hashtag?
There is a hashtag. It is Tenerife Tech and Biz. All one word. Okay. That's it there on the first slide. Cool. Okay, camera button. So Simon, over to you, man.
Hey, thank you. Do you know what? I'd much rather be there drinking 28 people's worth of beer, but let me tell you, it is warm in the UK. It's not raining, so which is unusual. So yeah, thanks, Steve. Let me just try and give you an overview of what we're planning to do when we come over in September, and then I'm more than happy to take questions on any specifics about either the Launch48 weekend or the Pre-Accelerator, and I'll explain a bit about what they are. In terms of the logistics and that, Tanya and Miguel are much better positioned because they know where everything is happening because they've done all the hard work over on the island. But let me start with Launch48, which is going to be the 12th, 13th, and 14th of September, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you've been involved in Startup Weekend, it's similar, but not identical. So we kind of focus very much on startup the element of startup rather than the tech hacking bit. So we try to produce startups that have potential to go on beyond the weekend. And if I'm talking too quickly, just wave your hands. Recently we just sold one of the Launch48 startups for, in euros, it'd be about 70 million euros. From a startup that was created in 2009 at a London Launch48 weekend. One that was started in Melbourne in Australia, just got £2 million or $2 million worth of investment into it. So lots of the startups, I mean, lots fail from the weekend, and if you've been to one, you'll understand that. But lots go on and are successful. So that's running over that weekend, and that's open to anybody, whether you're a business person, marketing, tech, developer, non-developer, just want to come along and see what it's all about. Then you'd be more than welcome to come and do that. And Tanya and Miguel will be able to tell you where it's going to be held and that sort of thing. So that's the Launch48 weekend. The Pre-Accelerator, which is happening effectively the week before that, so the week leading into that. So the date for that is the 8th. So 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th is a week-long program that we run actually all over the world. So we run it in London, we run it in Berlin, and this is our first time bringing it to Tenerife. And that is really for startups that are a bit further along than maybe a Launch48 weekend. So you've got an idea, you've been working on an idea, and you've maybe built something like a prototype or very early stage alpha, beta, but you want some mentoring and you want some help to take it forward. So we spend 5 days with you, teaching you lots of startup stuff like pirate metrics, growth hacking, business model canvas, pitch practice, product management, SEOs, content marketing, literally everything. How to pitch, investor relations, loads of stuff is compacted into a week. And we have some amazing mentors coming out to the island. I'm using lots of your amazing people that are already running startups on the island. So we have Chris from Twitter, who's European head of developer relations. So he looks after all the devs and all the startups looking for techie support from Twitter. So he's a great guy. So he'll be out with us. And then another guy from the UK, Nick, who's the CEO of Whisk. They're $1 million invested startup in the kind of food and retail space. So he'll be out there, and then we've got a bunch of others also joining us as well. So it's an opportunity to kind of push your startup forward in a very short space of time, in a week, 5 days, and we'll have some fun. It'll be good. It'll be a good week. So that's a very quick overview of what we're going to be doing. Any questions? No, good. Here?
Any first questions?
So if I understood right, you have first the 5 week of preparation, right, for like you do in there in England, in London,
Yep.
where people go with their startup and you help them and you provide them support, right? Is it 5 days? And then you have, apart from that, you have the Launch48, right, which is like the startup weekend, similar to that in a way,
Right.
where you bring your startup and you try to improve it in 48 hours. Well, that's, I guess, the weekend. Am I right?
Yeah, you are. I mean, at the Launch48 weekend, clearly they're a little bit the wrong way round. But I imagine they're slightly different audiences. So, but yeah, you're correct. The Launch48, we tend to get people that don't have a startup, maybe don't even have an idea, and they'll just turn up on the Friday, pitch an idea, and then create teams on the Friday night and work on it for 48 hours.
And then what's the goal of that Launch48? Is that to create something that you can then take further, or is it just a contest for the best application? Then it ends at the end of the Sunday.
Yeah, both. So it's a competition. So we have prizes for the winning team, but ultimately we would like startups or individuals to decide that they want to do their own startups and go on and build startups, either the one they were working on over the weekend or a new one. Lots of individuals come along and go, "This is amazing. I really want to do a startup now. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go and do something." You know, it's about inspiring people to create startups.
Right. And then after you have the 5 days, right? Or was the other way around? Sorry.
And then it's the other way around, but it sounds like they're for two different audiences.
It's completely different.
So probably the people in the Launch48 aren't going to be the ones in the Pre-Accelerator.
And what's your requirement for the Pre-Accelerator in terms of?
It's usually a team of people, so more than one person, and you're already working on a startup idea, either part-time bootstrapping, or maybe you're even at the stage where you're now starting to do it full-time, but you're further along than a weekend.
Right. And then I guess you I don't know if you mentioned it, but you're gonna offer, I guess, support and mentorship during those 5 days, right?
Yeah, loads of support, mentor, like classroom stuff, practical things, helping you with your startup, lots of techniques, and obviously bringing mentors over from the UK, from the islands, and maybe from the Spanish mainland as well. Let's see who else we get. But yeah, lots of good mentoring as well, and working with another 20 people that will also be on the program. So we're bringing in teams from the UK as well.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
Anyone else? Next one. Question? I've got a question. They've got the. Okay, yeah, there is one. Okay, so we've got a question from somebody online.
All right.
So is the goal to achieve, I'm not sure if you mean achieve or attract, foreign startups and entrepreneurs or local ones? So I suppose, what are you aiming for in terms of the Pre-Accelerator and the launch weekend? And what are you expecting to get in terms of local stroke foreign participants?
So I imagine that the Launch48 weekend will be mostly local participants. The Pre-Accelerator, I expect that we will attract teams from, definitely from the UK, maybe some local teams, and maybe some other teams from around Europe. So when we run it in London, we get teams from all over come to London to be on the program. So, and actually the cost of us running it in Tenerife is not much, or in fact is as cheap as running it in London. So for a startup, you got a choice of going to London or Tenerife. I know where I'd go. So I'd be in Tenerife every day of the week because it's nice and warm, it's beautiful, etc. So we're better to run a Pre-Accelerator. So I think we'll get a mix on both, but I think the Pre-Accelerator is going to bring teams from outside of the islands as well.
Okay, thanks. So I had a question which was on the Launch48. You said you were focused on startup stuff, not tech stuff. And there's been 2 startup weekends on the island already, and a lot of people here are involved, and the organisers are here, so some of them. So I mean, the startup weekend seemed to be like you do the startup weekend. You don't need to come along with a team or an idea particularly, and then there's the prizes at the end, but then it stops. And there's the prizes, and then that's it, or maybe not. But I'm just wondering, could you explain a bit more of how it's different to the startup weekend?
Yeah, so we I probably could show you if I was there, but we have a thing we call Oxygen Timeline, which basically takes you over the course of the 48 hours, builds up a bunch of milestones that you have to deliver, which takes you through a lot of the startup type activity. So once the weekend has ended, that timeline though continues. So it gives you an opportunity to carry on with the startup and gives you a lot of, right, here's the next steps for you to build out. Whereas as far as I understand, and I'm not an expert on Startup Weekend or a whole bunch of the other kind of competitors, they tend to be very much about that weekend, and then there's a massive gap between maybe something like Startup Next, which is their kind of online pre-accelerator meetup thing, or an accelerator. The gap is huge between going on a weekend and applying to an accelerator or looking for investment. So our timeline kind of fills that gap. So we help you along the journey through to whatever it is you're looking for, whether it be a pre-accelerator, an accelerator, or just straight up investment.
Okay. So when you say help along after the weekend, sort of what, you stay in touch, you make introductions on your network, or?
Yeah, all of that, but we give you access to our timeline. So it's like an online tool. It's an online tool that gives you, we call it a virtual ass kicking tool, because it's got lots of milestones that says, right, well, you got here, but here's your next milestone that you need to do in the next couple of weeks, and so it's kind of constantly kicking you up the arse to move the startup forward.
Okay. Another question. So, is there a limit to the number of startups? How many are you planning to have?
On which?
I guess both. So
Oh.
maybe answer for both.
Yeah, so the limit on the pre-accelerator is 20 people. So that could be 10 startups, it could be 20 startups, depending on how many people per startup. It might be that a startup just wants to send one or maybe two people rather than everybody. So yeah, it's limited to 20 people for the pre-accelerator. For the Launch48 weekend, Tanya can probably answer how big the venue is, but easily 50 plus people, I would say.
Okay. Which is maybe what, 8 to 10 teams or something like that.
Yeah, I would have thought we kind of aim for 7 people per team as a kind of average. So everyone's got something to do, but not so much to do, as it were. So yeah, so that would give us about 7 teams if 50 people turned up.
Okay.
Is there any cost in joining any of both events you're going to run? Like, as you know,
there is yeah, both events are costed. The Launch48 weekend is a very good question. How much it costs? I'm now going to look it up on the website, and I'll be able to tell you.
Well, we have it here. If you want, we can.
Okay, can you see it there? What is it?
Yeah, it's 65.5 euro.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. So it's about £50 in UK, but about 60 euros in. Yep.
And 39.6 euro for students.
Right, there you go. So yeah, so I get. Is that similar to startup weekends cost? I don't know.
A bit more.
Is it?
It seems about 20-40 for the 20 euros to student, 40 euros full for the south.
Yeah. Oh, well, then we should lower the prices. Anyway, we can sort out the prices on that. Yeah, so we could bring that in line with previous startup weekends. And not, we're not the Launch48 weekend for us is not a profit-making exercise at all. So it just needs to cover its costs, probably similar to the other types of weekends. For the pre-accelerator, yeah, there's a cost, but for local teams, it's going to be pretty cost-effective because you're not having to pay for accommodation and things like that. Presumably, it'll be just covering food costs and so forth. So we're really keen to work with local teams. So if there's anybody that's interested, then ping me an email and we can have a separate Skype call about it, and I can give you more detail. I can send you the program. Have you got the website up, Steve? Yeah, so you can see on there it's got an outline of the details of where it is, when it is, some of the mentors, what's included, etc. So you can see that. And we've had, just recently actually, we've had 2 of the last batch that went through the pre-accelerator have just gone on to, one went on to raise £100,000, which is, I guess, 120,000 euros. And another one just got accepted onto Startup Bootcamp, which is another accelerator program. So we have good results coming out of the pre-accelerator as well.
Okay, so I just got the website up there. So it's basically what the difference is yeah, there's a cost, but then you're on site for the 5 days. You're living in the pre-accelerator for the 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Have you? I guess you have run many of these before in England, right? I think you have done quite a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how what's your success? So, well, actually, it's a curiosity more than a, how much people do you get sign in, and you usually have a lot of people, not enough, or is it depends on like end time of the year? Because I don't know how these things work, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like if you come here, if you do this kind of event abroad, away from England, do the number of people applying drop down?
I don't know, because the first time we've obviously run it in Tenerife, so we'll see. But we sell out each time, so we always fill the places. So that's not a problem. And the way we measure success really is what the teams go on to do afterwards. So some teams are looking to go straight for investment. Some teams are looking to try and get onto an accelerator. Some teams are just want some help and support. So that's kind of how we measure our success: is what did the team want and what did they get.
That's cool. Thanks.
Any questions? I've got another one then. I've got there. Well, if you go through the Pre-Accelerator, for example, or the Launch48, does that give people a better chance of getting on Oxygen's accelerator?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we take we preference any of the teams that have been through a Launch48 or one of our pre-accelerators, mostly because we know them better and we're more likely, therefore, to understand their strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, they definitely get priority into the accelerator.
For the Launch 48, who's providing the ideas for the teams?
You are.
Are they okay?
You are. Yeah, no, they come from.
Okay, just was wondering because you also said before that you were selling a company for such and such millions. So who's owning the ideas?
Oh yeah, no, they are. Yeah, I say when I say we sold it for, we're a family. Once you've been through a Launch48, you're part of the family.
I understand.
Yeah. So no, we didn't get any money for that sale. It went to the guys that carried on the idea after the Launch48 weekend. So I think they had a team of about 10 people over the weekend, but 2 of them decided to take it forward, and it was those 2 that ended up with the share of the 55 million. So yeah, it's a shame. Otherwise, I'd be buying lots of beers.
All right. Yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Can we find out some more about the venues and
Yes.
where everything is and what's happening on that?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Well, for the Pre-Accelerator, the venue will be, as Simon already mentioned, from the 8th to 12th of September at ITER facilities in the industrial site in Granadilla. And the participants will be staying at the bioclimatic houses that belong to ITER, just along the coast. They are scattered around the research center. And it's just 10 minutes walk to a private beach. They have a small beach around, and everything is walking distance to the cafeteria, and you will be eating and staying there and sleeping there. It's a very nice place with very nice views, and the houses are really, really nicely made. Each house by a different architect, and they're all ecologically built with natural material. They are really pretty and comfortable. And the Launch48, for the moment, it's not sure yet, but it will probably be at FIT Institution Center in the south of the island. It's in Adeje, right?
Yeah.
We didn't hear that. Did you say some convention center or in the south?
FIT. It's the Tourism Innovation Center in Adeje.
The feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most probably, not 100% sure, but most probably. Otherwise, we will let you know. But it will be probably in the southern part of the island anyway.
Okay. Any questions? I had one with a Pre-Accelerator. So are you going to be on site all the time, or you're planning some breaks out?
Actually, Tanya and I were just discussing that. I mean, during the day we'll be mostly on site, but I think early afternoons, like 3 o'clock, maybe we might go and do some things on the island, Scion Park, and maybe a bit of walking, the usual touristy type stuff, and group activity, barbecues on the beach, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Maybe surfing. Isn't it windy down that side?
It should be windy there. Yeah.
There you go. That's what we'll do.
Cool. So, anyone? Do you have a question?
Hi there. How many people are coming from England from your team to the both events? Or
yeah, on my team, 3 plus 2 or 3 UK mentors, so 5 or 6 of us.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. So just last few questions, because I mean, there's somebody here from Canary Valley? La Laguna, sorry. Yeah. La Laguna Valley. Other people have various contacts and stuff, so I'm just wondering what sort of response you've had yet already, if any, and what can people do? What should people do to get the word out? And are you trying to get, I don't know, traction with any other local organisations that maybe people can help with?
Yep. Maybe Tanya can answer this better, but in terms of the Pre-Accelerator, we've already got, I think, 12 of the 20 places sorted. So there's a few there still to go. On the Launch48, we've literally only put it live on the website, I think, last week or something, so it's early. But we're working with Tenerife and a couple of other organisations, so that's we'll start to get the word out later this week, early next.
Yeah, to
add to that.
Regarding the Launch48, we are in conversations with Tenerife, which is very interested in sponsoring the event, and they're also talking to the ITER. Regarding the other event, Pre-Accelerator, we have Cabildo de Tenerife, and also, of course, ITER, which is providing the venue for the event.
Yes, and they are sending out also emails to their ex-startup participants in their innovation programs. So we are using that channel to get more participants to the Launch48, for example.
Cool. All right, well, we'll wind it up there and let you guys off.
That's off.
For more questions. And well, we'll share a bunch of links on the meetup site and just keep helping the word out.
Steve, you got my email address, so if anyone needs it, just hand it out and just give me an email, and we can always chat.
Will do.
Brilliant. All right,
Okay.
great
Thanks
to
for
see you
coming
guys.
online.
Enjoy the beer. Right.
Okay. Bye.